on is the second in series on nutrition. So today what we will do is I will go through the energy calculations, tell you about the nutrition labeling, importance of nutrition labeling, recommended daily allowance, the percent value of daily allowance, claims which are generally used on labels, that is the health, nutrient, and nutrient-led claims, macronutrient deficiency, that is the deficiency or overnutrition of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And the micronutrient deficiency we have already covered in the webinar on vitamins and minerals, where the deficiencies of each of these was discussed along with their chemistry and structure. So the question now is the basic energy needs. The body needs energy to do basically two functions, that is the voluntary activity and the involuntary activity. So voluntary is something what you are conscious of, and that is when, like, the work that you do, exercise that you do, and the body supplies all of the energy for these basic metabolic needs, that is all the physical actions related to the usual activities. There is also some involuntary work or exercise, and these you are not aware of, but all these activities also need energy for running them. These include the circulation of blood, respiration, digestion, absorption, excretion, etc. So the energy needs of the body, basically we could divide them into four. That is the chemical energy, which is the breakdown or use of many of the metabolic products. Electrical energy, which is used in the brain and nerve activities, that is the nerve impulse. Mechanical energy is in muscle contraction, when you do work, when you bend down, when you lie down, when you get up from the bed. All this is mechanical energy. And then you have the thermal energy, that is energy which is required to maintain body temperature. And you know that is the body temperature. Water is an important constituent for maintaining the body temperature. So the energy used by the body is for voluntary work as well as involuntary work, which you are not aware of. So the basic energy needs we know is that the fuel is provided to the body by the macronutrients, that is the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats. And we have seen on Friday how the carbohydrates and fats can be changed into ATP or stored as ATP, which is produced in the mitochondria. So the three energy containing nutrients, or the nutrients which supply energy to the body, to reiterate, are carbohydrate, which is the primary fuel, fat, which is a storage fuel, and protein is a backup fuel source. If there is no carbohydrate or no fat, only then protein is broken down. And it is not good if protein is broken down and used as the fuel, as the sole fuel source, because this will lead to muscle wasting. Alcohol also provides energy, but it's not considered as a nutrient. So how is the energy measured? The energy is measured by a unit which is called the calorie. It is the amount of energy which is in the food or expended in physical action. In nutrition, the energy is represented by a kilocalorie, or what is 1,000 calories, or 1 calorie, where instead of a small c you have the capital C. And 1 kilocalorie is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree centigrade. So the large calorie unit is used in nutrition science to avoid dealing with the large numbers, unlike in thermodynamics where we use the small calorie. So the abbreviation is kilocalorie or kcal or capital CAL. And in other countries, they use the joule. So 1 calorie or 1 kilocalorie is equal to 4.16 joules, or 1 kilocalorie will be equal to 4.16 kilojoules. So you should be able to convert calories into joules and joules into calories by using this conversion factor. So the energy yielding, to reiterate, are carbohydrate, fat, and protein. Alcohol also contributes, that is in 7 kilocalories, but is never considered as a nutrient when we use it, when we talk about energy required for the body's growth or though. To convert this into kilojoules, so 1 gram carbohydrate, so 4 kilocalories is equal to 17 kilojoules, and 9 kilocalories is equal to 37 kilojoules. So that is literally, it works out to 4.16, the conversion factor. So when we talk about calorie and when we talk about food, we talk about the nutrient density. So density, we know, is the mass per unit volume. And here the density is not anything to do with the mass and the volume, but the density of the energy in the food. So we talk about what is called as caloric density, that is the concentration of energy in a given amount of food. Think of bakery, that means you think of a pastry or the Black Forest cake or any of those. Those which are high in fat have the highest caloric density. Nutrient density is the concentration of the nutrients in the food. For example, if you talk about an apple, it is nutrient dense because it has large amount of vitamins, minerals, water, and others. Foods that are referred to as empty calories are directly opposite to nutrient-dense foods. These are foods that you eat large amounts but which do not give you any calories, like, say, for example, popcorn or puffed rice, which are known for empty calories. Food guides generally recommend that you eat foods that are nutrient dense, but eating foods that are nutrient dense doesn't mean eating cake and pastry and puffs all the time, but you should not exceed the nutrient requirement per day for your body weight. So what is an energy density food? You look at this meal for a breakfast. So you have egg, you have toast, and you have juice or anything. The total weight of this is 450 grams. However, the energy from this 450 grams is 500 kilocalories. On the other hand, what you see on the right-hand side is only a 144-gram breakfast, but it also delivers 500 calories. So this is an energy dense food, and this is a lower energy dense. We will have to make the calculation on nutrient to see which one of these is more nutrient dense. But I'm sure from your knowledge now, you will say the nutrient dense would be on the left hand side, because you will get some protein from here, you will get vitamins and minerals, and so also will you get vitamins and minerals from here. So the energy intake. In any situation, the energy taken in must be, as food or anything, must be expended. So the body's energy balance depends on how much of energy you take and how much of that energy is converted into work or is used. So energy input has to be equal to the energy output. So how is the energy intake in our body, or how are the nutrients stored, which we did go through last week, and that is the carbohydrates are stored. That means unused carbohydrates will be stored as glycogen in the liver. The fat, excess fat, will be stored in the adipose tissue, and the protein will be stored in the muscle mass. And the energy intake, what you intake, is actually the calculated energy of the food that you consume. So if you have consumed about 200 grams of rice for lunch today, so that will be 200 into 4, 800 kilocalories in, and adding to it all the other side dishes that you have taken. So how do you estimate this dietary intake, or the dietary energy intake? There are several sites, and there are several apps by which you can calculate the energy intake. The NutriTrack on Evolve is an excellent tool. In India itself, we have got an app made by the NIN, National Institute of Nutrition, which is called Nutrify India. It is a free app. You can download it, and it gives you the calories of, even for a dosa, for a idli, for the Indian foods, so you can calculate how much of energy you are taking in. Chronometer is another free software tool for calculating energy intake. And this chronometer can also estimate the energy that you have expended if you feed in the amount of physical activity that you have put in. Like you have run 2 kilometers at a speed of your speed, then it will tell you how much of energy you have used. This is more like what you wear on your wrist, which tells you how many steps you have taken. And assuming that each step will burn a certain amount of calories, it will also tell you the calories that you have burnt. But the Nutrify India app is very useful for India because it tells us about the Indian food. So energy output. So what is the energy output? The energy output, one of the outputs is the metabolism of your body. That is the chemical changes that occur during normal body functions, the regulation of the body temperature, tissue growth, and repair. And all these activities to sustain your life require energy from the food that you take and the body reserves that you are there. You will know, or you will realize, that if you do not take enough food, or if you do not take enough water, you feel so listless and limp. The three demands of energy, that is for normal body functions, regulation of body temperature, and tissue growth and repair, determines the body's total energy requirement. So the energy requirements can be broken down into the basal energy expenditure, resting energy expenditure, physical activity, and the thermic effect of food. Let us see what is basal energy expenditure. So the basal energy expenditure is the sum of all the internal working activities of the body at total rest. That means when you lie down and all the activities of your body are measured, that is known as the basal energy expenditure. That means the minimum energy required by your body, and it is expressed as kilocalories per day. And basal energy expenditure is also known as the basic metabolic rate. The resting energy expenditure is almost similar to the basal energy expenditure, except it maintains more stringent conditions for measuring it, and what you get is the true basal energy, the resting energy expenditure, because it is not possible very accurately to measure the basal energy expenditure. So how would you measure this expenditure? So the resting metabolic rate, or the basic basal metabolic rate is actually measured by what is known as indirect calorimetry. So here you are resting, and the amount that of the oxygen that you are using during the resting period will be calculated, and the amount of oxygen that has been used is back calculated to give what is your resting metabolic rate or the basal metabolic rate. A second indirect method is by doing the thyroid function test, because the thyroid hormones are responsible for the metabolic activity of the body. So this can be measured by measuring the activity of the thyroid gland, that is measuring the levels of the hormone thyroxine. Because you will see that in the case of hypothyroidism, that is when your thyroid is not working very well, your basic metabolic rate will go down. The opposite of it, hyper, that is hyper, where your thyroid is over functioning and it produces more and more thyroxine, you will see that the basic metabolic rate has increased. Thyroxine is also being misused because it is used for weight loss. So here, if the body uses up all the food and energy that you are taken, then it cannot get stored as fat in the adipose tissue, and you do not put on weight. So how do you predict the resting metabolic rate? It is predicted by the formula. For men, it is 1 kilocal into the kilogram, your body weight in kilograms multiplied by 24 hours. And for women, it is 0.9 kilocals into the body weight in kilograms and multiplied by 24 hours. So you can now calculate your basic metabolic rate depending on your body weight. And if you do not know your body weight in kilogram and you know it in pounds, please remember 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. So what are the factors that influence your BMR or the resting energy metabolic rate? It is the lean body mass. So if you have only muscle and organs, the six pack or the eight pack muscles that everyone shows, muscles are highly active. That shows that the metabolic rate is very fast when you have lean tissue. Also, the basic metabolic rate will increase during the growing periods. That is, the growth hormone stimulates cell metabolism. And so you will see in your younger days, your basic metabolic rate will be very high. So for children, the basic metabolic rate is very high. Body temperature, fever increases the BMR by 7% per degree Fahrenheit. During starvation, or there is a cause in the decrease of temperature, you will see that there will be a decrease in the BMR. In the hormonal status, that is hypothyroidism, you will have decreased BMR, and in hyperthyroidism, you will have increased basic metabolic rate. Next comes to a factor that we generally talk about is the body mass index, or the BMI, which generally tells you whether you are overweight, underweight, or you are obese or of the normal. This BMI is an index of the body fat which is based on your height and weight, that applies to both adult men and women. So if you look, the way to calculate your BMI is to take your weight in kilograms and divide it by your height in meters squared. So for a 60 kilogram individual with a height of about 1.676 meters, which is about 5.5 feet squared. So this is 60 divided by 1.676 squared. And so you get a BMI of 21.4. According to WHO, a normal weight person, you have a normal weight if the BMR is between 18.5 and 24.9. You are overweight if it is between 25 to 29.9, and you're obese if your BMI is greater than 30. There are many formula used to calculate the BMI, where you also take sometimes the waist circumference uh, to tell you the BMI. So now that the formula is here, today you can all calculate your basic metabolic rate, as well as you all can calculate your body mass index and find out whether you are normal, overweight, underweight, or obese. So what is the total energy requirement for the body? So if you look at the total energy requirement for the body, it includes the basic energy requirement, physical activity, and the thermic effect of food. The basal energy requirement of an individual is about 60 to 75%. The energy required for physical activity is about 15 to 30%, and the energy required for the thermic effect of food is about 10%. So to maintain a daily energy balance, the energy intake, food energy intake, should be equal to the body energy output. If the intake is greater than output, you see all these calories and the excess nutrients will be stored, and what you have is weight gain. So extreme intakes compared to the output is obesity. If you are leading a sedentary lifestyle of just sitting in the chair and not doing much exercise, this is what happens. Exactly the opposite happens when your intake is much less than the output. So here what happens is you have weight loss. And these are extreme cases of this anorexia, where they do not want to take food, they have an aversion for food, and also where you have bulimia, where intentionally you want to lose weight. So you eat and then you vomit out all the food. So when intake is equal to output, you will see that you do not put on much weight. So that is why the doctors always prescribe, as you grow older and above 40, to do more exercise. So whatever intake, whatever food you have taken in, you burn it out. Those are the simple words that they are used to burn the calories. So I'm sure most of you are going to the gym, or you do running or some form of sport to burn all the calories that you consume, especially the high calorie foods that you consume. So another way of estimating the resting energy requirements is by an equation called the Harris-Benedict equation. And this equation is derived based on healthy adults, and it calculates the resting energy. So for males, the formula is 66 plus into 13.7 multiplied by the weight in kilograms plus 5 into the height in centimeters minus 6.8 into age. So what you see over here is it takes into account the physical status of the person, that is the height and the weight, and also the age of the person. So a similar formula is there for the resting energy requirement for the female, except here all the constants vary. So if you look at the Indian recommended dietary allowances and the book which is published by the National Institute of Nutrition, the National Institute of Nutrition classifies the foods based on function. So here are the foods which are energy rich. So those are whole grain cereals, vegetable oils, ghee, nuts and oil seeds, and sugar. Bodybuilding foods are foods that have plenty of protein, that is the pulses, nuts, oil seeds, milk, meat, fish. And then you have the protective foods which give you immunoprotection and protect your body against diseases. And those are the green leafy vegetables, fresh vegetables and fruits, eggs, milk, and milk products. The NIN also classifies the food and tells you the importance of diet based on the different stages of your life. So if you start with the infant or the toddler, you need a large amount of energy rich foods, that is especially fat and sugar and breast milk, especially for growth and reaching the appropriate milestones. As the child thing grows older into about 2 to 10-year-old child, you need nutrients for your growth, development, and to fight infections. So these include the energy rich, the bodybuilding, and the protective foods. In adolescence, you will find, and maturation, you will find that you need more of the bodybuilding foods and the protective foods, less of the energy rich foods. As you grow older to about an adult, you will see that a nutritionally adequate diet with extra food for childbearing and rearing is required. But then, when you come to the physically active and healthy individual, what you need is, that is when you are going to be a geriatric or almost going to retire, what you need is to take nutrient dense, low fat foods with activity, with physical activity. This is taken directly from the book from NIN. So the assessment of the nutrient intake, you will be seeing these definitions and names all over. One is the dietary reference intake. This is defined as the reference values that are quantitative of nutrient intakes to be used for planning and assessing diets for healthy individuals. So that is the dietary reference intake. You also have something which is called the recommended dietary allowance or the recommended daily allowance, which is the recommended nutrient intake to meet the needs of essentially all the people of similar age and gender. So the RDAs you will see are given for a physically active man of 60 kgs or a 60 kg person with a sedentary lifestyle, and for women it will be women with sedentary lifestyle or women in the childbearing age and different things. So the amount required, the dietary requirement, varies with the age. You also have what is known as estimated average requirement, the estimated nutrient intake that meets the needs of essentially all people of similar age and gender. So the recommended daily allowance is for every day, and estimated average is which is an average of the requirement for people of similar age and gender. So adequate intake is the intake to maintain good health. Estimated energy requirements are set for daily energy requirements depending on the activity. And this is different from RDA. This is energy requirements. RDA is the actual nutrient requirements. We also have upper levels where upper levels should not be exceeded, because the maximum level of the daily nutrient that is likely to pose no risk or adverse effect. If you take more than the upper levels, then there may be problem. So whenever there is a recommendation, you will see the recommended dietary allowance, you will see the EAR, and you will also see the upper levels. The nutrient intake, as we said, they are assessed via the Harris-Benedict equation, and they are compared with the caloric intake with the calculated requirements. And this will tell you whether your energy input is equal to your energy expended. So how do the nutritionists or the nutrition scientists come out with this recommended daily intake or the recommended daily allowance? So they use the graph, which is generally of Gaussian nature, and the requirement for the nutrient is the amount that the individual must consume to avoid deficiency, as defined by clinical, physiological, and biochemical criteria. So the dietary reference values for energy and nutrients take into account the basic metabolic rate, the physical activity level, and the physical activity ratio. So what you see over here is every country has got a recommended daily allowance because the population, the activity, the genetic makeup, the average weight and height vary. And this Gaussian graph, which shows the thing, is related to terms which are known as lower reference nutrient intake. That means you should not take below this. Then you have a reference nutrient intake, and then you have the dietary requirement or the estimated average requirement. So in this Gaussian graph, you will see that the dietary requirement of this is only one standard deviation. So that is one standard deviation of the mean, and the lower reference nutrient intake, and the lowest that you can go to is minus 2 times the standard deviation, and the reference intake for especially for minerals and vitamins is the mean plus 2 standard deviation. So doing all this, taking into account how much of food is eaten, what is the average weight depending on gender, physical activity, or the National Institute of Nutrition has made this manual, which is dietary guidelines for Indians. It is freely downloadable. So I would recommend that you can all download and read this. It also gives the food pyramid for Indians based on Indian food. So you can download this at the Nutrition NIN website. So here they have given the recommended dietary allowances for Indians, and this table tells you that for macronutrient and minerals. So man, depending on his lifestyle, whether it is sedentary work, moderate work, or very heavy work, such as construction workers, industrial workers, for an average body weight of 60, it suggests that the calories for sedentary is just above 2000 kilocalories, whereas for a heavy worker, he requires about 3500 kilocalories. The protein is about 1 gram per day. The visible fat is 0.5 grams per day, and the calcium given is 600 milligrams, and iron is 17 milligrams. Similarly, you see for a woman, based on the nature of the thing, the sedentary work, those doing moderate work, heavy work, for a pregnant woman, for a lactating mother, you will see. So here the average weight of a woman is taken as 55 kilograms. And now you will see that protein is the same 1 gram per 100 gram per kilogram of body weight. But you will see that for a pregnant woman, the protein you have to add 23, and for lactating you have to add 19. And then you have infants where they have been classified into 0 to 6 months and 6 to 12 months. And this gives you, tells you this, you see the protein is very high, 1.16 and 1.69, that is for growing. Now, for adolescents, for girls and boys also, it goes by age, and it has been divided into age because the growth varies at different stages. So you see maximum growth will occur around about 7 to up to about 16 or 17. You do not grow further than that. So therefore the energy is calculated adolescent boys and girls. And here you will see the protein also. The protein is more than 1 gram per day. And also, if you look, the fat also is almost more than 1 gram per kg. So the nutrition The nutrition label helps the consumer to make informed choices to take in food so that you can find out how much of energy input is there and see if you're burning it out so that your energy input is equal to your energy output. It helps you to compare similar foods. It helps you to look for foods with little or more of a specific nutrient. And also, it helps you to select foods for special diets. So, you have a panel on prepackaged food, which is known as nutrition facts on the thing, and it is very easy to find and easy to read. But a survey in India has shown that only about 29 to 30% of the population read the nutrition facts label. They read the label for other reasons. So I'm only going to talk to you about the nutrition part of the label. The rules and regulations for labeling of packaged food will be taken up when we discuss the packaging and labeling rules as per the FSSAI Act. So, just for the nutrition fact label, the nutrition facts actually on a label, what you need to look for is you need to look for the nutrition facts, you need to look at the ingredient list, you need to look at any nutritional claims or any health claims to choose the food because this will help you in making a wise choice. So, other than the requirements of best before date, veg logo, all that comes under labeling rules. But for nutrition, these are the four factors that you need to look at in a nutrition label. That is the nutrition facts, the ingredient list, the nutrition claims, and the health claims. So, which foods are given nutrition facts? Almost all the prepackaged foods have to give the nutrition facts according to the law, either by FSSAI or by FSMA in US or by EFSA in Europe or Japan or New Zealand. All countries require that the prepackaged food must have the nutrition facts. So only those packs which are exempt from sale are fresh food, raw meat, uh, poultry, fish, then bakery items, coffee beans, tea leaves, spices, and alcoholic beverages. But very recently, FSSAI has instructed that all restaurants and bakeries must display the nutritional facts of their ingredients in terms of calories, protein, carbohydrate, fat, cholesterol, and sodium. So the gazette notification has been there. So as responsible individuals, you should ask the restaurants for the nutritional information of the product. So, what do you see in the nutritional fact panel or nothing? The first is it tells you about the serving size. So here you see it says the serving size is two crackers. This is an approximation of that you are expected to eat 2 crackers, or it could be 1 cup of cereal, or it could be two. Now, based on the serving size, you will be able to tell how much of energy you're getting, how many calories you are getting. So the serving size will help the consumer understand how much they are eating. For example, for this nutrition panel, if you ate 10 crackers, then you're eating 5 servings. So 5 servings means you're eating almost 70 grams. And if you see, the amount per serving is 60 calories. So 70 grams into 60 is almost 4,200 calories. That means you're getting too much of calories from the by eating 5 times what is on the. Now, under the nutrition thing, the specific amount will be there, because the nutrition facts will be given in terms of per serving, or per 100 gram, or per 100 ml. So you need to see whether what the total calories is giving, that is amount per serving. But this number here that is given, the serving, is not necessarily that you should eat only that. So people generally pay attention to calories, because if you eat more and you don't burn it, then you are sure of putting on excess weight. Another important part of the label is to look for the calories that come from the fat. So the labels also will tell you how many calories come from the fat. So if you look over here, it says total fat, which is 1.5 grams. So 1.5 into 9 will actually give you 15 calories. So from the fat, you're getting 15 calories. So you can also limit your fat intake by looking at the nutritional facts. So the nutritional fact panel varies as per the country, but generally it must, there are some basic requirements that every country indicates. So when we look at the labeling regulations, you will see that in India, the carbohydrate, fat, protein, cholesterol, now sodium has been included, the trans fat content, the calories, the total calories in kilocals has to be mentioned. In many countries and in India, with the new regulations, they have to mention the total fat, and in the total fat, you have to mention the saturated, the amount of saturated, unsaturated, and monounsaturated, the cholesterol. If free sugar is being added, free sugar has to be given. And this calorie is calculated based on the table that you have seen and we have been using. So if it contains alcohol in the calorie thing, it is calculated. So the nutritional facts panel, you have to see whether sugar alcohol is there, because nowadays your sugar alcohols are being used as alternatives to sugar. Carbohydrate is generally given by difference. Protein is estimated by the Keldol and then multiplied by 6.25. Vitamin A is estimated. Vitamin C will be estimated. If calcium is given, calcium will be estimated. Iron and all the other essential vitamins. The nutritional fact panel will not contain numbers which are not determined experimentally. It is expected that all the nutritional information which is there on the panel has to be analyzed, and these should be analytical results. Now, the nutrient amount, can be given either in grams or in milligrams. It is given in grams for larger quantities, such as the protein, fat, and carbohydrate, and the minor constituents such as sodium, potassium, etc. They are given in milligrams. And if you look at the vitamins, they are given in the SI units. And every regulation will specify what is the unit these micronutrients must be expressed in. You will also see that on the panel, it gives you what is called as percent daily value. And this percent daily value is very important, because the percent daily value is calculated based on, in India it says it is about based on a diet of about 2000 calories, and this is for a normal individual. So how does this percent daily value, how do you do the calculation of the percent daily value? So for the percent daily value, you need to go back and look at the tables of what is the amount of fat or protein recommended for the individual. So for example, if you look at protein and you recollect that we say for a 60 kilogram man who is leading a sedentary lifestyle, and we say for 2000 calories, so a 60 kilogram man is supposed to take 60 grams of protein. And so this is 8 by 60 of that, which is equal to 2 by 15 or so. And you need to use your calculator and see, this is the daily requirement is 60 grams, so you're getting 8 grams. So you find out it will be a little more than 10% of the daily requirement. Okay, so if you say 60 grams, 10% is 6 grams. So if you're taking 8 grams, you get a little more than 10%. So that is what the percent daily value is. The total fat in almost every country, including India, has now, it is required that you have to indicate how much is coming from saturated fat and how much is coming from trans fat. Also, the fat, the cholesterol content has to be there, and the sodium also has to be there, because all these are factors which are involved in what we call as the lifestyle diseases or the cardiovascular diseases. That is the fat, the cholesterol, and the sodium, which is involved in hypertension. So total carbohydrate, this tells you how much of carbohydrate you're getting in one serving of the food. Protein is required for the body repair and building. So it is required for muscles, blood, and organs, and it is always given in grams. As I said, carbohydrate, protein, and fats will always be expressed in grams because we are having more of them. If vitamin A and vitamin C are there, the percent daily value, you see this product does not contain any vitamin A or C. So therefore, it gives you 0% of the recommended daily allowance. So it tells you these nutrition fact tables will give you, or indirectly you can calculate whether you're getting enough of the micronutrients. So the percent daily value, as I said, is a benchmark to evaluate the nutrient content of food. It is based on each and every country's RDA values, recommended values, and it also depends on the nature of the individual, the gender of the individual. So the percent DV is based on 100% of the daily value for each nutrient. So examples of daily values versus thing. So if the daily value is 65 grams, then it is equal to 100%. If your cholesterol is 300 milligrams in the food, that's about 100% of the daily value. So you have to go lower than that. So the percent daily value for calculation is based on the RDA values given in the recommended dietary allowances for the particular country. So some percent daily values, it is very easy to calculate, because at the bottom of the panel, you will find what are the percent daily values on which basis they have been calculated. But in India right now, it just says percent daily value to be calculated based on an average diet of 2000 kilocalories. FSSA is now coming out with this new labeling regulation for these percent daily values, so that it is more visible. So you give the calories and say it is 20%. So you see, we are saying that the requirement is about 2000 calories per day that is recommended. So 400 is 20% of that. And if we say the total fat, this is 10% of the recommended value. And this is a new regulation which is going. This is a new regulation which is now is out in the public domain for comments. So here, the part 1 of it declares how much of each of these, that is the calories, total fat, trans fat, total sugar, and salt. These are based on what is called as high fat, salt, and sugar, the 4 ingredients which are responsible for the lifestyle diseases. And part 2 gives you the per serve percentage of the ingredient. So this is a new system being adopted. It's very similar to what you see here, but we feel that if it is in a different form and more evident, then it will be useful. Now, how to use the percent daily value when this is given. So the percent daily value, if you look at it, if it recommends that if you are getting 5% or less of the daily value, that is too little. And if you are getting 15% or more of the daily value just from that single food, that is a lot. So if you look and compare the percent daily value of these two cereals, that is cereal A and cereal B, and you're looking at the fiber. So here, if you see, half a cup of fiber gives you 28%. A half a cup of the cereal gives you 28% fiber, whereas 3/4 cup of this cereal gives you only 4% fiber. So if you are looking for a high fiber food, cereal A would be preferred over cereal B. But of course, here, if you see percent daily value, 28%, you are getting more than, I mean, you're getting 28%, you're getting 1/4 of the fiber which is required for the day. FSSAI also is coming out with this regulation so that people are aware that they are eating high fat, salt, or sugar. So if the total sugar exceeds 10% of the total energy being given, provided by 100 grams, then you have to have a red label indicating that it is a danger to have this. That if the total sugar is more than 10% of the total energy provided by 100 grams. So here you see the energy, 10% of the energy of this is 40. The sugar is giving you is a very high content of this, so you have to put the red. Similarly, if the trans fat gives you more than 1% of the total energy for 100 grams, you will have to put the red. For fat and salt, it is given in Schedule 1, and this goes with each different category of food. So this system has come from what the Western countries use, what is known as a traffic light labeling. So in the traffic light labeling, the colors itself tell you what the food contains. So if you look at this food, it is high in sugar and it is medium in salt. So therefore, it may not be suitable for diabetics and for those with hypertension. It is low in fat and low in saturates. And the traffic light symbol is to show you that if it is green, it is safe to eat. If it is medium, it is medium safe. And if it is red, it is a danger to keep eating those foods. So these are systems which FSMA, that is the Food Safety Management Act, and the European Food Safety EFSA and the Food Standards Agency of UK are using, which is known as the traffic light labeling, to warn the customer that the food that you're eating have high fat and thing. So here is a food to give you an example of the traffic light thing. So you see here the sugar is green, so safe. The fats are in the amber, which is slightly unsafe, but it would be preferred over this, where the saturated fats are in the unsafe domain, and the sugar and fat also is in the unsafe domain. Only the salt is in the safe domain. So this sort of tells the individuals, those who cannot read percent daily value or do not understand, that this green, amber, and red is an indicator. Ingredient list is something very important that one must read, because it tells you what are the ingredients that go into the making of that food. And it is very important for those who are having food allergy and food intolerances, so that they can find out whether to consume that food. Now, this food contains soya protein, so all those who have allergy to soya protein should not consume this food. On the other hand, also those who have allergy to almond, it's a tree nut, should also not consume. So therefore, the ingredient list actually in India, it is in descending order, but it clearly tells you whether you can consume the food or not, and because depending on whether you are allergic or you're intolerant to that food. So the foods that ingredients that are known to cause allergies and hypersensitivity are like celery, fish products, eggs, the prawns, milk and milk products, mollusks, mustards, all types of nuts, peanuts, sesame, soybean, and sulfur dioxide. So it is very essential that you look for these ingredients. And now, in many countries, the rules also tell that if the food has been processed in a machinery which has pre-processed this, that also be labeled to prevent any carryover and cause any allergic reaction. Then come the claims on the labels. Many claims are made on the label, but according to law, the claims that are made have to be true, and they can be of three types of claims which are made. And the first one is the nutrition claim. So the nutrition claim gives you a claim of what is the content. So it tells you whether it is high energy or maybe low energy. It also can be like low fat, low carb, low sugar, etc., or good source of vitamin C. So here, this claim is based on the nutrient. It is telling you for the nutrient. Now, these type of claims earlier low fat, low sugar, high fat, high sugar, or I think were all the words low, high were not defined in our regulations. But now we are making the regulation where when can a food business operator make a claim such as high, low, good source, etc. So in the nutrition claims, when you want to decrease the amount of certain nutrients, what you should look for are the words free, low, and very low. Free is like contains not more than a significant amount. Low means like low fat. Very low is it contains no more than, for example, very low sodium. And if you want more of a certain nutrients, the words you need to look for are source, high or good source, very high or excellent source. But using these words also are restricted by regulations, and you will see that in the FSSAI it is regulated. You can use the word low for low energy when the calories is not more than 40 kilocalories per 100 gram and 20 kilograms for 100 ml. You look at fat, you can use the word low fat when the fat is no more than 3 grams of fat and 1.5 grams per 100 ml. You can use the word free when it is less than 0.5 grams. Cholesterol, you can use the word free from cholesterol when the cholesterol is not more than 1.5 milligrams, and additionally it should not contain more than 1.5 grams of saturated. So you can see most of the vegetable oils were being advertised as cholesterol free, but they all had saturated fats and oils in them. So, however, now they will not be able to think with the promulgation of this order, because the cholesterol may be free, but all the oils will contain saturated fat. So all these words are there for all the nutrients, that is MOFA, PUFA, omega, unsaturated fat, because most of the food business operators, as a marketing strategy or an advertising strategy use these words, and these words were not defined, but now these words have been numerically defined. So even if you want to use sodium free, the sodium content should not be more than 0.005 grams of sodium. So also for dietary fiber, source high or rich. So measurements, and these cannot be arbitrarily used. It has to be done experimentally. So, and also if you want low glycemic index, glycemic index is an index which tells you how fast the sugar is released into the blood, and very important for diabetics. So only if the GI value is below 55 can they be called low GI foods. And FSSAI also tells you how to do the calculations, and also it tells you words which can be used alternate to free, low, reduced, less, increased, or more. So the second type of claim is a nutrient-led claim. It is an intermediate between a nutrition claim and a health claim. It cannot be considered as a health claim because it has not been done with the product. So if the product contains calcium, you can use the claim calcium is important for normal growth and development of bones in children, or calcium is required to prevent osteoporosis. If you have oats, you can write beta glucans from oats help to reduce blood cholesterol. If xylitol or the sugar alcohols are there, you can say that it helps to neutralize plaque bones. Calcium maybe promotes bone health. Curcumin promotes is anti-inflammatory. So where there is science and evidence, those claims are called the nutrient-led claims. So here is a nutrient-led claim. You see it says the oats beta glucans help lower cholesterol. And here you have the docosahexaenoic acid omega 3 supports brain health. It doesn't say this product supports brain health, but it tells you that DHA in this product supports the brain health. And then you have health claim. So in a health claim are not allowed to claim that the food can treat, prevent, or cure any diseases or adverse reactions. You can only claim that it helps to maintain a healthy heart or helps aid digestion. If you want to make special claims, then generally all regulatory agencies, you have to submit the dossier to the agencies, for example, to FSSAI, to make the claim. And FSSAI has clearly said that as a health claim, nobody can make any claim for cancer, for prevention, cure, or treating of cancer. So that is not allowed at all. So health claims are like disease reduction claims, which are there, like calcium and vitamin D and regular physical activity help to achieve strong bones and may reduce the risk of osteoporosis. A diet rich in vegetables and fruit may help reduce. Of course, I should take this out because FSSAI does not allow this, but other countries are allowing this. Another one is a healthy diet containing foods high in potassium, low in sodium, may risk the high blood pressure, a risk factor to stroke and disease. So when we look at the labeling regulations, I will be discussing in detail what FSSAI allows and what it does not allow. So the recommendation is to each and every one of you is to, now that you know about the label, go back and read the label. Start here, see the serving size, check the calories. You limit these nutrients which are in yellow. Get enough of these micro nutrients. Look at how much it covers of your percent daily value. 5% is less, 20% or higher is more, and also see on what basis these calculations are made. So now let's just come to, again, in nutrition, what are the diseases associated with the macronutrients. So this saying by Hippocrates is very useful to say. If we could give every individual the right amount of nourishment and exercise, not too little and not too much, we would have found the safest way to health. All of us would be very healthy. So if you look at nutrition, which is taken by the macronutrients, the deficiencies of the macronutrients can be defined by two. One is undernutrition and overnutrition. Overnutrition also is considered as malnutrition. Overnutrition is when you are overweight or obese. So what thing is malnutrition? When more than 20% of the usual body weight is lost, or it is more, your body functions become significantly impaired, and malnutrition can reduce cardiac output, it can impair wound healing, and it can depress the immune function. Nutritional repletion can often reverse these processes, and there is difficulty in identifying individuals at risk. So if you look at the most recent publication of WHO, which talks about the forms of malnutrition. The malnutrition forms which have been highlighted in this 2018 release is one is stunting, which refers to child who is too short for his or her age. These children can suffer from severe irreversible physical and cognitive damage that accompanies that thing growth. Then you have overweight intake. Overweight refers to a child who is too heavy for his or her height. This form of malnutrition results from energy intakes from food and beverages that exceed the child's energy requirement. Overweight increases the risk of diet-related non-communicable diseases later in life, which include cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, hypertension, etc. The third type of form of malnutrition described by WHO is wasting. This refers to a child who is too thin for his or her height. Wasting is the result of recent rapid weight loss or failure to gain weight. A child who is moderately or severely wasted has an increased risk of death. So you have underweight, or wasting, you have overweight. So it could be overweight and stunted, stunted and wasted. So these are all the forms of malnutrition in a survey by WHO. And if you look at the result, I have put and mainly taken is to show you that Asia is one of the major regions in the world where you see both undernutrition as well as overnutrition. So in 2017, more than half of all the stunted children under 5 lived in Asia. So 55% lived in Asia for the stunted. And you see 46% of the overweight children also lived in Asia. And in 20, in think they showed that 2/3 of all wasted children under 5 lived in Asia. So we are the capital for malnutrition, both stunted growth, overnutrition, as well as undernutrition and wasting. So what are the causes of this undernutrition and wasting? One is hunger due to poverty and food insecurity. It is due to micronutrient or protein deficiency. The micronutrient and thing now is more common in the elderly. It is also due to diseases, the infectious diseases like malaria, TB, and chronic diseases such as HIV, AIDS, cancer, emphysema, etc. So what is undernutrition? Undernutrition occurs when there is insufficient nutrient intake, an increase of nutrients needs that prevents effective utilization. So nutritional requirements are defined, we know, by macronutrients and micronutrients. And the forms of undernutrition are acute malnutrition. We saw it is defined by wasting by WHO and also by presence of bilateral pitting edema. Chronic malnutrition, what WHO defines as stunting, and then you have micronutrient deficiencies, which we have seen when we did vitamins and minerals. So acute malnutrition is characterized by rapid and extreme weight loss, reduces the resistance to other diseases, and in early stages, acute malnutrition can be reversed by giving enough of the nutrients, that is adequate food, both in terms of micronutrients and macronutrients. So in the macronutrients, the deficiencies that are observed are mainly what is known as protein energy malnutrition. WHO defined protein energy malnutrition as the cellular imbalance between supply of nutrients and the energy and the body's demand for them to ensure normal growth, maintenance, and specific thing. So this is the most common form of malnutrition which is seen in the infants, and it is usually seen in countries where there is severe drought, infectious diseases, war. So the protein energy malnutrition in the disorders are namely two. One is kwashiorkor, the other is marasmus, and there is an intermediate state of marasmus and kwashiorkor. So what is kwashiorkor? This is an acute form of children's protein energy malnutrition, which is characterized by inadequate protein intake with reasonable calorie intake. So it generally tends to occur after weaning, when children are weaned off the mother's milk and they are generally put onto a diet containing mainly carbohydrates with very little protein in it. So generally, if you look at the appearance, the pot belly appearance due to edema and fatty liver, increased extracellular fluid, and this is a rapid onset. Kwashiorkor in the language of Ghana means the sickness of weaning. That is, after weaning from breast milk, they are not getting enough protein, they're getting energy. Marasmus, on the other hand, is a more severe form of protein energy malnutrition, and this results mainly from negative energy balance. That is because they are not getting enough of energy from the macronutrients, mainly due to starvation. And you see that there is severe wasting of the body because their energy, they don't get enough energy, so the protein is being used as energy. The body utilizes the fat stores and then the muscles, so they lose all their fat, they lose their muscle, but there is absence of edema. And marasmus actually is the Greek origin word, which means to waste. So what do you see in marasmus? You will see an emaciated kid with the bones showing from the body. Eyes are sunken, skull and cheekbones are prominent. There is no fat whatsoever. They have very less plasma albumin. And these children have less physical activity, cannot walk also, they are lethargic, they're very low basal energy metabolism, very slow in growth. So if you look at the differences between kwashiorkor and marasmus, you see here in kwashiorkor, you see a protruding belly rash thing, and there'll be poor wound healing. Whereas in marasmus, you see more emaciated, no food, have used up all the protein, can count their ribs, they have lost all the subcutaneous fat, and they have loose skin. So malnutrition actually for an individual can very easily be assessed, mainly by looking at the temporal muscles. You can make out whether they have. There will be dull hair, which can easily be plucked. Brittle hair tells you micronutrient. And by looking at a person also, when you see conditions like this, you know that even the individuals that have got muscle wasting. So micronutrient deficiencies covers all the deficiencies of vitamins and minerals which we have gone through and which are essential for the body functions. And these micronutrient deficiencies depend on the individual, mainly on the age and the sex. So this is just to summarize or to make you recollect some of the micronutrient deficiencies, the nutrient and what is the deficiency it is known with. And you can assess the micronutrient deficiencies by an indirect assessment or a direct assessment. Direct assessment is measuring the levels of these micronutrients in the blood, and you will be able to tell whether you have a deficiency. The indirect assessment involves estimation of the nutrient intake of a population, and then from this you calculate the risk of the deficiency. So, in undernutrition or malnutrition that is associated with the macronutrients, there is an integration of the cycle. If the mother is healthy, the pregnant woman is healthy, and then she delivers a healthy baby, and with the lactation, the baby gets enough. An underweight, stunted, wasted young individual will always give birth to a low birth weight baby. So it has been noticed in several studies is when an adolescent, if you have low weight and height, very small adult women, you give birth to low birth weight babies, which in turn will grow into children who are stunted or wasted. So this is an intergenerational cycle of undernutrition. So next webinar tomorrow will be on allergens and inborn errors of metabolism.